Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Allie. I'm a mom who loves DIY, simple living, and making a house into a home on a budget. If you've been here a little while, you know that I'm pregnant, and I will be honest, it's getting harder to breathe. So if you hear me out of breath, that is why. I'm like 29 weeks at this point, so things are getting a little crowded, but we're excited to meet our second boy. I'm feeling the nesting phase kind of creep in as I'm looking around thinking about all the projects I want to work on in our house and all the things I want to get done before baby comes. So today I want to share with you guys how to make cheap frames look expensive. I have 3 things that you can implement in order to make your frames look more expensive. To start off, I bought these frames from the thrift store. The biggest one I want to say was $5, and I would say that's a really good price considering it's really sturdy. I'm sure it cost a lot more than that initially. I personally love to buy thrift store frames. The only time I would buy brand new frames is if I'm looking for a specific wood finish. Anytime I'm planning on painting frames, I love to go to the thrift store. So I started out by painting all these thrift store frames black. I would probably mostly pick black, white, maybe gold. This time I decided to go black. So that's kind of the amount of prep that I did for these frames, and I was really happy with the way they turned out. I literally just used a little bit of acrylic paint that I will link below, but it was super simple. I used some little watercolor brushes and I had them painted in probably 15 minutes. So my 3 tips for making your cheap frames look expensive. The first one is a good mat. So when you buy a thrift store frame, a lot of times it's just going to be empty. Sometimes they have a mat, sometimes they don't. I prefer just a plain white mat. Sometimes things like that overwhelm me, like going to the store to buy matte paper or whatever it's called, like the thick cardboard type stuff. So a little trick that I learned a few years back is to buy the cheap poster boards from the dollar store. It's 2 for $1, and I basically take the glass out of the frame, set it on the poster board, and then I trace around the glass, and from there I cut it out and use either double-sided tape or I fold the tape onto itself so it's like a circle, and then I attach the photo to the front of the poster board. So that is my favorite way to create a mat because it's super simple and I can do it in just a matter of minutes. It's not overwhelming, but it creates the look that I want. That is my first tip. My second tip is all black and white photos. Believe it or not, I think what goes in the frame has way more to do with how it looks in the end than the frame itself. One time I bought dollar store frames. They were super cheap and thin, and I did a matte and black and white photos, and I loved the way it turned out. I got so many compliments on it because of the matte and the black and white photos. They just added so much, so the frame kind of just blended in, and I loved the way that turned out. Black and white photos I think are a must because they just give such a simple, cohesive look, especially when you love neutrals. I think black and white is perfect because it all blends together and it all looks really nice. So my third tip is to have your photos professionally done. If you would like colored pictures, I would suggest taking a bunch of family photos at the same place, the same time, and printing all of those to go in the frames, as again it will look more cohesive to have all the same coloring and outfits and everything in the frames, which I think creates a much more expensive look. So for example, we just had a friend take some photos of us recently and I had some printed. If I were to go with colored photos in my frames, you can tell that they would all be kind of the same color scheme. So that is kind of the look I like. For the black and white look, you can get photos printed from any season, any phase of life, and still get that cohesive look as long as they're all black and white. So these are from the same shoot, and I'm excited because I'm going to do all black and white this time. So I love the way that they all look together. However, I did get a few printed from a different session that are also black and white, so I think when you put these all together, it still looks very cohesive without having to be the exact same shoot. So just a little recap, my 3 tips are: 1, make sure that you add a mat to the frame. 2, for a cohesive look from all different seasons of life, I would choose black and white photos. And 3, if you want to use photos from the same photo session, color is fine. However, black and white is also fine in that case as well. So I hope you enjoyed these tips, and I hope these tips help you get a more desirable look with your own framed photos. If you haven't yet subscribed, I would love to see you back here next week. I post a new video every Friday, and you can expect DIY, simple living, and making a house into a home on a budget. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week.